Inner child. Your inner child is peering through all the surface distractions of your life. How do they feel about what you have wrought in your adult life? The occurrence of this card indicates a need to locate your inner child. It's become a new age cliché to talk about your inner child. So it almost sounds cringeworthy. But this aspect of the psyche is as real as any bodily organ. Many years ago, I had an experience of an unhappy inner child breaking through. It was shocking, even devastating episode. Still, ultimately it was healing, and my awareness of the state of my inner child has been greater since then. And one of the great things about the video versions of the card is it's easier to tell an anecdote. So I'll describe that a little bit. This was about 20 years ago, and I had been traveling, been in a whole community of people, and then traveling with a very close friend of mine, Daniel, and then circumstances were such that I ended up in Seattle by myself. He had to go somewhere else, and I was doing very difficult work. I was living out of an 18-foot RV. Life conditions were harsh, and at the same time that they were harsh, I was putting myself on a very extremely strict dietary regimen, and and was lonely, and but just kind of like in my usual way, trying to like keep pushing through what I had to do. And then I was walking on this at night in Seattle by myself, and suddenly it was one of those inner visions that almost seemed as if it were an ocular vision happening outside, and I saw like a child version of myself, like about 5 years old, wearing like a plaid bathrobe and like orange snowflake pajamas, items of clothing I'd completely forgotten about but recognized as authentic to that age. And it was my inner child, and it like just broke through in my mind and said like, "Where's Daniel?" And then it said, "I'm hungry." And it was shockingly emotional. It was because as a thinking type in the classic Jungian mandala of functions, thinking, feeling, intuition, sensation, the more you're a thinking type, then the more inferior is your feeling function. You may be out of touch with your feelings. So when it did break through, it was quite powerful. And ever since then, I've been much more aware that inner child is not just some new age affectation or sentimental idea. It's a psychobiological reality. Like a tree with rings that remain from its earlier seasons, the adult psyche seems to be a superimposition of new layers on top of the earlier personalities that continue to exist within. The inner child often embodies our emotional self, a less conditioned self closer to our essence and more independent of the compromises and adaptations we have made to function as adults in the world. While your adult ego may be busy thinking and laboriously trying to navigate through all the practical problems of the adult world, your inner child lives closer to feelings and is more concerned with love, nurture, and imaginative play. It may want to rebel from the stern disciplines, suppression of feeling, and dutiful busyness of many adult lives. Of course, we should not let our inner child or any other subpersonality rule us. But it is good to remain empathically in touch, especially during difficult times when your inner child is likely to be lonely and unhappy. Sympathetic consolation may do much to gain its cooperation. So, for example, I think it was Carol Anthony who suggested that, when you're talking to your inner child or inferior subpersonalities, that you would do it in the way that a good dentist might talk to a child. Like you're going through these privations and hardships, and you're like, okay, now I know this is uncomfortable. It may hurt for a little bit, but then things will get better, and we're just going to keep keep on our path, and there are no doubt going to be much better and more enjoyable and fun things up ahead. And so you kind of sometimes have to raise the morale of your inner child. Again, not be ruled by it. You're the adult, you're in charge, but being sympathetic so that you don't have some, otherwise it may break through and where you're having like a tantrum, basically, because you had developed a schizoid split where you were just ignoring or repressing your inner child. So when it does act out, it might be quite unruly and unhelpful. Peel back the layers and discover what this core aspect of yourself has to say and how it views your present existence. Life can easily turn you into a cynical, self-serving, turned-off adult. Keep open your connection to your magical inner child and their sense of creative play.